Goats and Monkeys, by Derek Walcott from The Castaway and Other Poems 1965, is a dark poem that justifies a black man in a world where everyone looks down on him. This poem portrays many notions of racism, sex, savagery and jealousy. However, these notions could not have been portrayed the best they have been if Walcott did not build its foundation upon Shakespeare's Othello. The poem centers on the master-slave relationship. The theme is somewhat similar to Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and his Man Friday. It is also symbolic of the rulers and the ruled, with God as the omnipotent force to be regarded with awe and reverence. Sir Derek Alton Walcott KCSL the 23rd of January 1930 to the 17th of March 2017 was a St. Lucian poet and playwright. He received the 1992 Nobel Prize in Literature. His works include the Homeric epic poem Omeros 1990, which many critics view as Walcott's major achievement. In addition to winning the Nobel Prize, Walcott received many literary awards over the course of his career, including an Obie Award in 1971 for his play Dream on Monkey Mountain, a MacArthur Foundation Genius Award, a Royal Society of Literature Award, the Queen's Medal for Poetry, the inaugural OCM Bocas Prize for Caribbean Literature, the 2010 T.S. Eliot Prize for his book of poetry White Egrets, and the Griffin Trust for Excellence in Poetry Lifetime Recognition Award in 2015. Taken from his collection, The Castaway and Other Poems, the poem, Goats and Monkeys, which can be read in full here, centers on master-slave relationship. The theme is somewhat similar to Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and his Man Friday. It is also symbolic of the rulers and the ruled, with God as the omnipotent force to be regarded with awe and reverence. Goats and Monkeys has obvious references to Shakespeare's Othello. Walcott realizes that transgressing the social norms is not possible, even after hundreds of years have passed since the play was enacted in Shakespeare's England. The thesis of the present-day Negro writers is still based on identity and historicity. Walcott feels that modern society has not changed substantially to accept Othello as Desdemona's lover even today. Even now, an old black ram is tupping your white ewe. Othello. Goats and Monkeys begins with a quotation from Othello where Iago warns Brabantio, senator of Venice, that he has been betrayed as Othello, the Moor, is making love to Brabantio's fair and beautiful daughter Desdemona. Othello is called the Black Ram, who is tupping the white ewe, Desdemona. It is a bad omen that the heavy body of the colored brown Moor is descending over Desdemona's fair body like passing of Earth's shadow over the glowing silvery moon during a lunar eclipse. But it is tragic that in Act 5, Scene 2, the same Othello, while bending over her lips, is charring her marble throat by suffocating her with her own pillow after putting out the light he is carrying. Here, God's light means that the life given by the Creator is extinguished in this murder, although the murder has not been committed, as shown in the first stanza. What the poet means to say is that the so-called social order has been transgressed. The social law demands that blacks and whites should remain separate. Ironically, the social law is the other name given to divine law. At the time of her murder, Desdemona in her sleep is dreaming of her husband and lover, Othello, coming to her. Desdemona's fate is similar to that of Pasiphae, daughter of Helios by Perse, who became the wife of Minos, king of Crete. She was passionately attracted to a splendid bull gifted to her by the god Poseidon for sacrificial purposes. Strangely enough, she gave birth to a monster Minotaur after having sexual relations with the bull. Then the poem refers to Eurydice, wife of the legendary Greek poet and musician Orpheus, son of the king of Thrace, who was bitten by a snake. She died and was taken to underworld. Orpheus followed his wife to the underworld and there pleaded with Hades to restore Eurydice to him. Hades agreed to let her go on the condition that she would follow her husband back to earth, but Orpheus must not turn to look at her. When Orpheus was almost at the end of the tunnel, he could not resist the temptation to see whether she was really following him. The result was that Eurydice was at once whisked away to the underworld again and was lost to him forever. The mention of Pasiphae and Eurydice comes as a warning, for they too have been punished. Eurydice's fair skin was also like a light, but she was swallowed by the underworld. Pasiphae was punished for her sexual desires and became the mother of a monster, Minotaur. As the poem continues, the couple are shown making love with each other. The poet says that she is pure, a young beautiful mistress to Othello, who in turn is an evil Moor. The poet has again associated the animal imagery with Othello when he calls him an ape. Their immortal couple refers to the immortality received to the work of Shakespeare that even after so many centuries has not died away. In "He is your sacrificial, doubly sweet," the animal imagery is stronger than ever. Othello is Desdemona's sacrificial beast who roars in fury because of Iago's conspiracy, and like an insane bull that gets incited upon the sight of red ribbon, he too gets immensely tormented. The poet here attributes Othello with a saffron sunset turban that bears his fury and tells that it was not a racial cause that made him seek revenge. An interesting thing to be noted here is the association of revenge with panther, which deduces revenge as a predator seeking its prey. In Desdemona's chamber, with his manly prowess, Othello harms the absolute innocent. Desdemona. The moon disappears of this corruption. Desdemona is like a white fruit fleshed for lovemaking. But doubly sweet refers to the fruit that has been tasted by others, meaning Desdemona's unfaithfulness that made Othello murder her. Desdemona's dream in Othello's tragedy is a fable of the blind stone. There is something magical about the fact that the white woman has always been dazzled by that bull's bulk against the sun. Walcott waxes lyrical when he describes Desdemona's bright complexion, which rhymes with the night. Yet lyricism is ousted from lovemaking when virgin and ape, maid and malevolent Moor, come together in the heat of their passion. But discrimination between the black and white being a man-made law, Othello must be made the sacrificial beast. This image is enhanced by the Spanish spectacle of bullfighting, where the animal is provoked, tortured, and then killed to the delighted roars of the crowd. This bloodthirsty sport is used to show that the downfall of a black man is a legitimate act. After murdering her, Othello barbarously accused Desdemona for all she had done since time started, but it was his own night-long lechery, wickedness driven by ambition and lust, which was to be blamed. Innocent and poor Desdemona could only cry for forgiveness. And it is still her silvery love, pure and enlightened love, that questions over disgrace. Only total destruction can resolve the corruption in Desdemona's face, which is stained like the moon. It is to be noted here that oxymoron in the pure corruption is upon Desdemona's dreaming face. Desdemona can be paralleled to many pure and innocent girls who were tricked and then looted of their innocence by people like Othello. In the later, or so to say the last stanza, Othello is savage in his approach, and we get to harden our hearts with ridicule at this black man. He turns his back on her after having murdered her. Desdemona is like a clear moon that can never hate her love, night. Othello's grief was caused by the handkerchief, here a false evidence by Iago to prove Desdemona's disloyalty. This handkerchief is a Sibyl's forecaster's stitched remembrancer. The use of an image which invokes past memories, and this mythical tale of a horned beast, Othello, spreads a very crucial message. Othello's revenge is never considered a racial crime. He was in fact a friend, but not because he was a black and Desdemona a white. The title of the poem, Goats and Monkeys, is an exercise of supreme irony. The poet turns Othello into an allegorical figure with whom he can identify because he, too, is black, competing for recognition in a white society. It is interesting to note there that Walcott's name was suggested for England's poet laureate as a successor to Ted Hughes. In a sense, this had greater significance than the coveted Nobel Prize, for it meant that Walcott would represent Britain as a multicultural society and reconfirm the link between the Crown and the Commonwealth countries. He remains, however, a teaching poet who alternates between America and his home in the islands. As a 20th century poet, Walcott tries to focus on various worlds, the reality of the present and its fantasy in reflection, and the past in his own imagination. Yet he is unable to arrive at a satisfactory conclusion. Source: https://pomanalysis.com/Derek-Walcott/goats-and-monkeys/